In today's video, you've started a really good weight loss routine, you've got a good plan, and you're trying to take your belly fat from where I was at here and ending up here, but it's not working. And I'm gonna explain exactly what you are doing wrong. Hey guys, what's going on? This is Paul Ravella from ProPhysique.com, and today's question, which I got from my Instagram direct message, so go to my Instagram, send me your questions here. If I don't address it directly on Instagram, I'm gonna make a video about it, hopefully to help a lot of people. It happens every year. I start to get more and more questions about fat loss, weight loss, stubborn belly fat, lower back fat. This is typically what men focus on when it comes to fat loss, and I wanna talk about today's question and explain why it's not working. I'm trying to lose belly fat. I started a diet 6 weeks ago. I'm doing 3 to 4 hard strength building workouts a week for about 80 minutes, along with 15 minutes of HIIT cardio and a 1.5K jog. I've had my calories at 1950 a day. When I started, I was 126 kilos. 6 weeks later, I'm 124 kilos. What am I doing wrong? First things first, you're basing all your success on one factor, the scale. And if you're not familiar with the video that I just made recently where I talked about fat loss versus weight loss, which to you might sound like the same thing. Isn't weight loss fat loss? No, in fact, not at all. You can actually lose fat and not lose any weight. Well, how would you go about that? Guess how? Strength training. The tissues in our body that make up what determines what the scale says are very different. Muscle is very different from fat, which you're aware of. But what most of us don't realize is the impact, the positive impact that resistance training is gonna have on our bodies. Guys, I've been lifting weights for 30 years, 48 years old, lifetime natural bodybuilder. This is what I look like, okay? This amount of muscle that I've been working on for far too long is the result of putting in time in the gym. For me to put on muscle at this point, it's pretty difficult, right? As a natural bodybuilder after 30 years, I'm not making substantial gains. However, if you are new to resistance training, you can make substantial, and I mean multiple pounds of lean body mass per month after month when you just get started, because it's a brand new stimulus to you. And guess what muscle does? It stores more water, glycogen in your body. There's inflammation, there's hypertrophy of muscle tissues. You're probably much different body composition wise than you were when you started. Even though you're only down 2 kilos, which is what, about 5 pounds, what you should really be focusing on with the strength training and the diet and the cardio is probably 2 other things: pictures and measurements. Now, why do I focus on pictures and measurements? First things first, as a coach, I coach bodybuilders, I coach myself. When you're working with a physique athlete, the body can change quite drastically and have nothing to do with the scale. Although we'd like to see the scale go down because ultimately your goal might be like, hey, I want to be 105 kilos. Great. Eventually you do want to get there. However, if you get there while losing muscle, it's going to look vastly different than if you gain muscle while you get down there. I promise you, what you're doing is the right approach. You want to put on muscle while losing body fat. The second thing that you should be doing is doing measurements. This is probably the most substantial change you'll see, especially at the beginning of a fat loss plan, until you get a little bit leaner. Pictures, it can be hard to tell, especially if you have excess body fat. The leaner you get, the more drastic the pictures changes. So if you're looking at a physique like this one, who was our Transformation Challenge winner at the beginning and at the end, look how different the pictures look of this guy, this Dan, right? And the reason it looks so different is because he lost, I think, about 35 pounds of body fat. That's it, he just lost body fat. So that's where the pictures really come into play. But if you look at his starting picture, it ain't that bad. Like, he has a nice physique, there's nothing to complain about there, right? But if you put another 30 or 40 pounds on him, those pictures are gonna not really change at the beginning very much. However, measurements, especially for men around the belly button, right around the waist, perhaps the thigh, the chest, even the neck. Excess body fat tends to store on our bodies in areas, and it starts to come off rather quickly. However, what's happening with you is the scale isn't changing, so it's freaking you out. I promise you're changing your body for the better. Another really good indicator, without doing pictures, without doing measurements, is to simply pay attention to how your clothes are fitting. Are you able to now buckle your belt easier? Do your pants get a little loose? Can you tuck in your shirt and not feel like you have something hanging out? Is there a change in the way your shirts, your clothing, your everything fits? That's probably one of the best indicators. Another one that I often talk to my clients about is third-party comments. Because we see ourselves every day, multiple times a day, we don't always notice the physical changes that are happening. However, if it's been a couple weeks and you've lost 5 pounds and you've added some muscle, maybe you've lost 8 or 10 pounds of body fat and put on a few pounds of muscle, a few kilos, right? So you might not think there's a lot going on because you see yourself all the time, but someone might say to you, hey, like, what are you doing? You look different, because your face will begin to change. Like, as you get lower body fat, your bone structure will start to show a little bit more. In fact, when I get absolutely shredded, I get like that skeleton face. It's not the best thing you want to see, but when you're trying to get shredded, not worried about the looks. So the goal for you, although the scale is going to indicate progress over time, and there will come a time when building muscle slows down and keeping the fat going down will steadily move, that's when you'll start to see the scale drop a little more frequently. But remember, if you're new to resistance training and you're getting stronger and you're feeling good and you're eating enough protein, which you said you are, you gave me your calories and your macros, there's going to be an incremental increase in lean body mass over especially the first couple weeks to months, right? Especially if you're training the bigger muscle groups, things like the legs, the back. These large muscle groups can be quite substantial. You're a tall guy. You said you're about 6'3". That's how tall I am. This is me at 6'3", 220 pounds, which I think is 105 kilos. I don't remember the math. But it can give you kind of an idea of the framework of what somebody looks like that's been lifting for this long, this weight, this height. When you have a longer, taller body, like the muscles in my legs and glutes and hamstrings are quite dense, and they add to that scale weight. And that's going to be the case for you, especially if you're training them a couple days a week. You're going to get stronger. You're going to be adding lean body mass. So don't get so caught up on the scale. Trying to get your belly fat off, it's a process of removing body fat until that comes off. I've explained it in my videos before, but you think of it as a body of water, like in a pool. And if you're scraping the water off the top, that's not going to get the belly fat off. You've got to get the water off the top, off the middle, and then once you get to the bottom of the pool, that's when that fat comes off. That's the way fat loss works. It's predetermined, it's genetic. The way you lose fat is going to be predetermined by how your body stores it. But for most of us, the stomach, the lower back, these are the areas that we consider stubborn. They're not stubborn. People are stubborn. They don't diet long enough until that body fat comes off. Okay, body fat isn't stubborn. People are. That's just how the body works. It can seem like a problem because you're only looking here, even though you're losing fat all around here, you're still focused here and you don't realize it. This is why pictures, front and back, measurements, and weight are how you should be tracking your progress. It'll also get you excited when you look at a picture and realize, wow, I actually have seen some change. I just didn't realize it because I was not documenting it. I get it. When you're not in shape, you don't want to take pictures. But I promise you, you'll be happy you did. You don't have to show anybody. Put them in a file on your computer and go from there. So that's what you're doing wrong. You're just tracking incorrectly your progress. You might be making great progress, and I really want to encourage you to keep it up. And hey, if you're looking for something to focus you for 90 days, I'm going to put a link below to our transformation challenge. It starts in September, $25,000, meal plans, training plans, and a great support group. We also offer guided coaching. But that 90 days can really focus you. And I showed you Dan earlier, who was one of our champions. We've been doing this for a few years now. And that's really what helps a lot of us make progress, is having a deadline. So hope you guys are having a great day. Hope this helps you with your question about progress, and hope many of you out there that have similar questions, message me on Instagram. I'd love to help you out. On my website, prophysique.com, I do have free at-home workouts. I also have a free beginner's guide if you want to join a gym. That includes some nutrition tips. I really want to help you guys out. Hope you have a great day, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.